Hi, I'm Hans Wilhelm, and in this video in the Life Explained series I will talk about forgiveness. It's a huge topic and I can only cover some important points, and I hope you forgive me for not being able to cover everything. In traditional forgiving we say something like, I forgive you for the wrong that you have done. This of course is very self-righteous. It basically implies that you were wrong but I'm right, or I'm so much better than you because you once failed. Our ego loves this type of forgiveness because it puts the other person down and enforces separation. Is there another way of looking at forgiveness? Come, let's have a look. As spiritual beings, our true home is the spiritual world. But we do incarnate here into the material world on earth because it allows us to grow faster and to become free again and to clear up past karma. So, together with our spiritual guide, or guides, we discuss our future life in great detail before we got born. We purposely plan certain situations that give us great opportunity for growth and freedom. From the human perspective, these situations may seem horrendous, brutal, or inhumane. They are just like hurdles for a sprinter. We ourselves have lovingly put them into our paths so that we can challenge ourselves and become better and free again. As a matter of fact, very often loving spiritual beings have agreed to incarnate with us into this world at the same time to provide us with these difficult situations for our good. They do this out of love for us. But here on earth, we perceive them often as the difficult ones, the ones who give us the trouble, the pain, the suffering, because once we are here on earth, we don't remember anything of these soul's arrangements that we have done prior our birth. Now let's see how it looks on earth. Let's imagine for a moment we are somebody who is here on earth, has totally forgotten who we are, this magnificent, beautiful spiritual being that we are in truth. And we think, well, life is just get best whatever I can get. So we are trying to cheat, lie, and steal our way through life. And this whole universe is based on sending and receiving. So continuously we are sending out vibrations of stealing, cheating, lying. And of course, whatever we send out comes back to us eventually. And if we do not change our behavior pattern, sooner or later we have a person who is doing the same thing to us, a cheater, a liar, a thief, whatever. He is expressing what we have been doing all the time to others. Like for instance, in this case here, let's assume he is actually physically hitting us. I know this is maybe an extreme example, but the dynamics are the same. Hitting is like in a spouse beating. Everybody who witnesses will agree that he is the bad guy and we are the poor victim here. But is that true? What actually is happening here in reality? The first rule is that there are no accidents in lives. Everything has a purpose and everything is for our good. This is a friendly universe, even in this situation. The second rule is that whatever others outwardly do unto us, we have been doing inwardly to ourselves as well as to others. For instance, a person who is physically hitting us is reflecting back to us what we have been doing inwardly to ourselves. We have been hitting and even hurting ourselves with our beliefs, in this case most likely our unworthiness, a belief that we feel we need to be punished for something that we imagine we have done. And now the punisher has appeared in our life and gives us what we have been doing to ourselves all the time. Now this is the only reason why this person, the perpetrator, has come into our life. He mirrors back to us what we have been doing to ourselves. He has come to provide us with the opportunity to get in touch with our original pain and see how a certain belief about ourselves was running our life. He is our wake-up call. In truth, this perpetrator is not a bad guy at all. No, he is actually a helper in disguise, a soul with whom we have made a soul contract to help us. A soul who cares deeply for us and has taken on the very difficult life of an angry person only to teach us a lesson to wake up from our false beliefs. This soul did this out of love. In truth, nothing horrible has really taken place here. The person who hits us, the person who steals from us, the person who cheats on us, the person who betrays us, is always reflecting the very same thing back to us. They are expressing what we have been repressing or doing unto others. Life always gives us many warnings beforehand, but if we don't recognize these warning signals and don't change, these people will come into our life and help us to realize the damage that we are doing to ourselves and others. In truth, they are our Savior. They're here to help us. It's all about us and our distorted view of ourselves and the world. So, is forgiving such a person the right response? Strictly speaking, not. Thanking that person would be a far more appropriate action. He deserves our deep gratitude. So the first step here for us is to allow this new understanding, this new concept of the situation sink into our mind and into our heart. It might be very difficult at first because it is so new for most of us. But once we understand that the outer situation is nothing but a reflection of what goes on within us, we may be open to this new way of looking. Once we have totally grasped the reality of this situation, we will feel a noticeable shift in us. It may not be a total forgiving yet, but we are on our way, and God will do the rest for us if we surrender our control to Him. Then usually something remarkable will take place. The other person will drop his old behavior almost instantly, or he will vanish from our life. His purpose and his contracts are fulfilled. He has woken us up from our own nightmare. He no longer is needed, at least not in a role as a perpetrator. He now can become the loving husband or the loving wife or whatever. Amazing how everything shifts when we look at situation with a deeper understanding. The understanding we had prior our incarnation. We knew this was going to happen. If you like to explore this further, I strongly recommend a wonderful book and website that can guide you further. The book is called Radical Forgiveness by Colin Tipping, with an easy step-by-step program. This is groundbreaking work. On Colin Tipping's website, you will find videos and worksheets to get started. Now, why do so many people find it difficult to forgive another? Firstly, of course, in our society, we are trained to believe in perpetrators and victims. In truth, there are no victims, ever. This may be very unsettling for many, particularly for those who believe in victimization of a whole group of people like nations or religions. The problem with remaining a victim is that we give all our own power away. Forgiving itself is easy, but not the willingness to forgive. For instance, our identity might be connected to the abuser. Like, everybody knows I hate my evil ex-spouse, my nasty co-worker, my horrible parents. And if we suddenly forgave them, what will others think of us? Who are we then? So we often hold on to the old grudges because our ego loves to keep us unhappy. People often hold on to grudges because it helps them to avoid loneliness. Yes, that's true. They think about the enemies, they feel connected to them. It makes them feel less lonely. Crazy, but true. Maxwell Maltz points out that we find it difficult to forgive only because we like our sense of condemnation. As long as we can condemn another, we can feel superior to him. By not forgiving, we want to hold on to the other as a prisoner. But a prison needs a warden. And who would that be? Us, of course. Basically, we are now both in prison. One as a prisoner and the other one as a warden. Not forgiving also means that we want to hold on the speed down, the speed of change, the speed of development. You see, when we forgive, something amazing happens. Life begins to move more rapidly because we are suddenly free again. And that can be very scary for some. Not wanting to forgive is like taking poison and hoping someone else is going to die. Forgiveness is not something that we give to another. We give it to ourselves. We are the ones who need to be freed, not the other person. We have to forgive ourselves for not having seen the other person as a perfect expression of love, just like you and me. We have to forgive ourselves for not for having temporarily been blinded by our fearful ego that only identifies with our body's needs and status. In truth, all forgiveness is always self-forgiveness. Now, I know this is a lot to think about. It is contrary to what the world and our religion teach us, but listen to your heart and see if this makes sense to you. Now, the rules are slightly different when we have wronged somebody. Let's imagine here is somebody whom we have hurt, we have stolen from, we have cheated, we have lied to, whatever it's done, something horrible. Naturally, we cannot assume that this person we have hurt knows about the underlying perfection of everything. He most likely will be very upset and angry with us. And we have to go to him and ask him for forgiveness and offer to make amends. For as long as we are not forgiven by the other person, we are spiritually bound to that soul. Sometimes for many, many lifetimes. But forgiveness and making amends sets us free. Wow, this is a lot. I like to conclude with a quote by Gandhi. The weak never forgive. Forgiveness is the attribute of the strong.